How can you play it?
Look at DVD.
Yeah, we had a few of these kicking around.
You have a DVD player somewhere?
Bill.
There's a few at the college.
The other Bill. Bill Metcalf. I need to chat with you
Yeah, ready when you are.
about something coming up at some point. So if,
Green is on.
okay,
Okay,
it's a
so
quick thing, but yeah.
thanks. At 4:30, we're going to call today's special council meeting to order. I would like to begin with the land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Knaha, Syilx, and the Sinixt people, and is home to the Métis and many other diverse Aboriginal persons. We honor their connection to the land and rivers and respect the importance of the environment to our strength as a community. You'll notice that council is wearing beautiful orange beaded pins today that were made by Montana Norberg. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to Ginger for sourcing those for us. I don't believe that there are any late items. Are there any late items? No. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as written? Moved by Councillor Page, seconded by Councillor Woodward. All in favor? Moved. Next, we'll have an adoption of the minutes of the previous meetings. Can I have a mover? Councillor Woodward, second. Councillor Leuchtenberg. All those in favor? And passed. Thanks. So we have item 6 on our agenda is recommendations from staff, the active transportation grant. The City of Nelson Climate and Energy Team has applied for grant funding under the BC Alliance for Healthy Living Community Active Transportation Engagement Grant in partnership with the Nelson chapter of the Doctors and Nurses for Planetary Health, DNPH. The funding aligns with the city's climate plan, Nelson Next, and will support education and outreach related to active transportation in the winter months. The grant application is for $30,000 with no requirement for matching funds. Programming would be administered by the DNPH and overseen by the City of Nelson Climate and Energy staff. As part of the grant application process, a council resolution is required that supports the BC Alliance for Healthy Living grant application and overall grant management. So the resolution is moved by Councillor Leuchtenberg and seconded by Councillor Payne. Is there any discussion or conversations? Questions? Councillor Page.
Could we get an update from staff on the overview just for
I
public
believe that
benefit?
Carmen is here with us. Yes, please.
Just make sure you.
Okay, good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
So Nelson was selected to apply for this grant through the BC Alliance for Healthy Living because we have newly built infrastructure for cycling. And so it wasn't just any community that could apply, but we were selected because of the infrastructure. And the focus is on improving community members' ability and motivation to be active and use the newly built infrastructure. So projects should also focus and have elements of it that addresses behavioral or individual level barriers to cycling. So such as the need for skill building, for information around safety, and of course outfitting for gear. So the whole project is $31,000, and that will include some campaigns, some events, and also in that budget of $31,000, there will be $17,000 for free gear for Nelson residents. Oh. And that will help them with either their safety or perhaps even studded tires if they choose to ride in the winter. And we did already submit the application. The deadline was due on September 10th, and we got approval for having this decision accompany this afterwards, so retroactively. And in the meantime, we've actually been approved. And so planning can begin based on the outcome of this decision. And then they hope to host an event in November, and the project does have to wrap up by March 2024. And so while this focus will be on general population and all year round riding, there will be some winter riding elements within it because of the timing of the grant, and the project has to be completed, so.
Any questions?
I have a second question.
Go ahead, Councillor Page.
Okay, that's an awesome overview, and thank you for that additional clarity about the work we're going to do. Specifically, just informed by the language and issues we've been seeing over the RDCK, I wonder within the aspiration, and whether we can or cannot, modify where it says public, active, or electric transportation to zero emissions transportation, which is more towards the goal of not defining technologies, but defining outcomes. And I don't know how we would go about kind of suggesting that change, but it does stand out because it's a point of contention for some of this language when we're trying to figure out our objectives.
So that's one of the definition of the aspirational goal. Yeah, I think, that's a good point of how do we keep those current. That was the language at the time, and so I think we can turn it back to Carmen's team of maybe looking at those and making sure that we refine those as we go through, as we learn more and technologies change and sort of where people are change. So I think that's a good point. So why don't we just leave it with Carmen and what that looks like? Do we sort of do that on an annual, biannual basis to just make sure that we're staying current, because I think that's really important. And observations and the idea is to make these changes and get there, and if some language change helps us to get there, then that's great.
And the document's supposed to stay living, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, great.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, through the chair. I was wondering, you were saying that some of this money will be going to helping people get gear. How would that be administered?
Yeah, so there are some details that the lead on this for all of those planning and that kind of thing will be through the Doctors and Nurses for Planetary Health with collaboration with Cecilia. Mm-hmm. And so they have actually, a fairly good scoped out project already. And at the event, there will be draw prizes. Mm-hmm. And so people can win gift cards, and they'll ensure that they coordinate that with the local bike shops. But at that event, there will also be things like skills and presentations from experts. So that group will be working with local groups, so such as like the Cycling Coalition and some of the biking stores, to get those experts and things like that. So that all of that planning and those logistics haven't been completely refined, but there's definitely some ideas in there for how people can win those. And they'll be contingent on showing up to the expo, taking part in some of the presentations and actually learning. And then there's going to be some sort of a survey so that we can assess and gauge what people learned and how much of their awareness was raised around this. And then they will be able to enter the draws.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If there are no further questions, then someone can move the recommendation.
I think we have moved.
Okay, so we're ready to, you moved it, so you read it. You moved it, so you read it, please.
That council passes that. Whereas council supports the climate and energy team to steward the implementation of the Nelson Next Climate Plan, therefore be it resolved that the corporation of the City of Nelson be authorized to apply for $30,000 in grant funding under the BC Alliance for Healthy Living Active Transportation Engagement Grant, Further, the City of Nelson be responsible for overall grant management.
All those in favor? And that passes. Carries.
Thank you, Carmen.
Exciting news here.
Boom, it's here.
Yes, and I will just say, you know, this also strengthens partnerships, and that is part of our plan for implementing the climate plan, is to really, you know, utilize and, you know, get a lot of value out of the community groups that are already doing this work, and they needed us, and now we need them, and they were very instrumental in even applying for the grant. So, you know, because we are a small team, we do really need to rely on community to participate, but we also, you know, these community groups and stuff like that can do quite a bit of this valuable work. So, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Do I turn this off now? Unlock it?
I noticed that there's council reports on both this meeting and the next one.
We'll just do that.
Okay, so do I say 7, 8, and do I say those ones, 7 and 8?
You can just say you're on adjourn.
Okay, we're going to adjourn and go into the cow meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn this
Motion to
special
adjourn.
council meeting? Councillor Page, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Woodward. All those in favor? And carried.